Hello, everyone. We're back with another episode of Chasing Shenmue, which is basically just a podcast we're doing to keep you guys up to speed on where we're at with the film and to just talk with various people in the community. So Randall's not with me today. It's just myself and a special guest who is a very good friend of mine. And you guys probably know him from the Shenmue Dojo and the online communities as Peter. Peter?
Hello, yes, hello, Adam, everyone at Faux and everyone watching or listening. Adam and guys, thanks very much for having me on the show.
Oh, no problem, man. So we first met, well, actually, before we talk about how we first met, you're a pretty well-known face in the community. I mean, you've been a member of the dojo for a while. For the people that don't know, I guess, did you want to quickly introduce yourself and kind of your role in things?
Yeah, sure, why not? My name's Peter Campbell from Belfast here over in Ireland. And I've been a Shenmue fan since before it was released, and pretty quickly after playing the games, used my Dreamcast at the time to find this online forum where there was other people like myself who shared this love for this video game. And for the past 14, 15 years, I have posted there, and then as time has went on, the other websites that also base themselves around fans of the series, and have just tried my best to keep Shenmue alive, essentially, considering of all the years we went through where it was essentially dead. Mm-hmm. So in the past 5 years, I was able to become a staff member over at the Shenmue Dojo website, and from there just try and use a bit of initiative to get the name of Shenmue out there. And just, thinking back, there was times, even before it is as commonplace now, where we have the likes of Corey Marshall and Lisa Wilkerson on Facebook. There was even projects back in 2010 where we were trying to find a way to contact these stars of Shenmue. And that's just one example of the types of things that I myself have just been trying to do over the years in the name of Shenmue.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, you definitely pulled your weight. I mean, when we first met in Japan, because I was never a huge active member of the Shenmue Dojo. I just kind of lurked and creeped, and it wasn't until 500K that I discovered a few years ago that reminded me that the community was still out there. Because I'm not gonna lie, for a while back in 2010, 2011, I kind of officially gave up hope after all those years. I was like, maybe I should embrace the fact that it might not happen. But then I found the community again, and
that's awesome. I mean, 500K is fantastic as well, because it really utilizes the Facebook and social media. I'm a little bit of an older dinosaur. I'm not the biggest fan of Facebook in general. That's something separate entirely, but it's for what it is as well, and utilizing social media and the team they have over there as well is fantastic. And it's absolutely fine if you weren't, if you were a lurker at one website. The beauty of what the community has become now is that there's a forum for whatever your preference is, be it Facebook, Twitter, social media in general, even art direction, if you just like expressing your love for the franchise in an art form, or if you like posting on old school message boards. That's what's great. If it wasn't for 500K or social media, then who knows if we would have even met in the first place. So it definitely is as much a great aspect as any other part of the community is.
Now, the way we met was it was pretty interesting. I mean, I think it was through the dojo originally, and then just back and forth on Facebook. But I guess when we first met in person, and I owe you a tremendous gratitude, something I'll probably never be able to repay you back, but it was your gracious invite as your +1 to the Kickstarter dinner in Japan, because you were one of the three who was able to snag that top $10,000 reward, and yeah.
I wouldn't say snag. I would say it would be a miracle. But the way it all panned out, it was an absolute miracle. I wasn't even meant to be there until around about 2 hours before the Kickstarter ended. When the Kickstarter began, I just had to look at my bank account, because that's the thing with Kickstarter. There's no warning. There was no tip off or anything. When this landed, take the dinner or the $10,000 tier, for example. I don't know that many people in my life who have that money just sitting in their bank account waiting to go. So the countdown was on for 30 days, and I just said no. I'll just drop up. I actually picked the $500 reward. And then it quickly dawned on me that this was the chance of a lifetime. So basically what happened was the 3 dinner slots for Japan were taken. And I begged and I pleaded on social media with Cedric Biscay, the executive producer, if there could be one more seat added at that table. And ultimately what happened was there was other dinner locations then added because of not only my request but other people's request that they wanted to give this money. They were set up, but within the last hour of the Kickstarter ending, somebody backed out of the Japan slot, and straight away I was on that because that was the dream. Not only just to go to Japan to meet the legendary Yu Suzuki, but also just to go to Japan. I had never been before, and that is the homeland of Shenmue. And I couldn't, even though I had a +1, I didn't have anybody really in mind to bring, but I still had the attitude of, even though this is a great gift that I'm going to go and experience, I want to still make sure that it benefits Shenmue in some way. And straight away then it was the likes of yourself who are doing something that's really good for Shenmue in your own way with the documentary. I thought this would be a great opportunity to somehow make it, enhance it more, make it even the chance of making that just that little bit better, if it meant getting you over to Japan to get footage of the real life locations and things like that, and also of course to meet Yu Suzuki.
Yeah, I mean, it was like I said before, it was a huge thanks on my part, and it definitely was a once in a lifetime opportunity, like you said, not just to meet Yu Suzuki and some of his team, but just going to Japan, not so much as just going to Japan as a trip, but with other like-minded Shenmue fans. So myself, you, and then there was the twins, Joe and George Kitchen, who are phenomenal guys. Matthew Kilpatrick and Jessica Kwan were the other two. And they were great people. And then we also met up with, I guess he's also a member of the dojo, AXM, Alex Munoz, who lives in Japan. So Alex, it was the whole group of us that that really made the trip, because it was 11 days long, but just I felt like every day we were just ingrained just in Shenmue, be it like the locations, the arcades, the discussions, meeting Eric Kelso, which I guess we'll touch on later, but just so many cool things.
All those examples, as you say, it's so bizarre. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not necessarily a morning person. I have trouble getting up in the mornings, but every day we were in Japan and we were getting up at the likes of 5 and 6 a.m. from, it's not even an exaggeration, from the moment we woke up. And this was something that was very special for me about the trip. From the second we woke up early in the morning until whenever we get back in to bed, everything was always Shenmue orientated. And if going to Japan and meeting Yu Suzuki was a dream in itself, the fact that those 11 days were always Shenmue orientated was just like, it's like, it was like suddenly going to Disneyland. That's what you're into. It wasn't just like a part-time holiday, part-time Shenmue trip. This was literally getting on a plane and going into a Shenmue world of its own. Yeah,
definitely a dream come true.
And like you said about all those people that we met as well, absolutely, they were all fantastic, all great Shenmue fans. And it's one of those trips I look back fondly, but you always have a little tinge of sadness because I would give anything to just go back tomorrow and repeat those 11 days again.
Well, that's fine, because right now we're going to narrow down the 11 days to just one day. We're going to do some reminiscing, and I'll also show some of the footage that we got. So
excellent.
We'll relive some of those memories. But the one day I'm thinking of in particular is, of course, the Shenmue Pilgrimage, which many of us in the community have done before. If you don't know, it's basically retracing Ryo's footsteps as best you can from the real-world locations in the game. So Dobuita Street in Yokosuka, and then so we took that even a step further. We did Yokosuka, where Shenmue 1 was set. We also hit up the harbor, which is another location, Shenmue 1. And then at the end, we were able to fit in the ending of Shenmue 2. So we obviously didn't have a chance to go to Hong Kong and Wanzai, but we ended up going to Kowloon. But not the real Kowloon. It was the Kawasaki Motor Arcade, where the first 2 floors of the arcade are actually replicated to look like the Kowloon walled city in 1980s Hong Kong, which and there was no entry fee, which is what I don't get. Like they put all this work into like a mini museum just to go up and play pachinko and to play like Virtua Tennis and stuff. Whoever thought of that, like, bless you. That was an amazing move. But that's what I want to talk about. So I'll let you kick it off. I remember we started on the roof of our Ryokan, me, you, and Alex.
Oh, that's right.
And we had like a little debrief about what we were doing and why we were doing it. Basically, our route today is we're starting from Aikibukuro Station. We're going to Yokosuka. Yeah. All right. And then to Buita Street. Yeah. And that's kind of like our main focus. Yeah. And then the harbor. So, I mean, it seems kind of weird like that people would fly halfway across the world to come to Japan to go on this pilgrimage to just like a small little town in Japan,
small little town,
to see like a street and like a hill, and maybe some vending machines. But I don't know. What do you guys think we're gonna get out of this today?
Well, I've lived in an area previously that's a lot like Yokosuka and Dobuita, that's in southern Japan, but it's just not the same. When you go, I think when we go there, no matter how much of Japan you've seen, I think that what was in the game, we'll be able to see the remnants of that. Yeah, at least.
I'm actually curious from a standpoint as well of if the people who live there actually realize the significance of what it has on us. I'm sure over the years they'll have seen possibly an increase in Western visitors to the area, in particular now that Shenmue 3 was announced last year. So I'm actually kind of curious as well when we get there today to see the reactions of, when we walk down, say, Dobuita Street, the shop owners, if there's anybody that even recognizes that we're there because of Shenmue.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you're part of the crazy cult of people that come here.
Who's been invading our little area.
I never thought about that. That might happen, actually. They might actually know, somebody might actually know about this game.
Yeah.
This has been such a long journey for the past 15, 16 years now even, and from the moment of seeing Shenmue, the first time I ever seen it was in Official Dreamcast magazine in November 2000 in the UK. And from that point until this, my life has just been completely Shenmue orientated on a daily basis. So the fact that it's culminated from especially last year in Shenmue 3 finally being announced, and in a short space of time, we're now sitting here in Japan and about to visit the real life locations. That like Alex said, that's just a complete circle, although it's hard to kind of describe. That's one circle of hopefully more circles that will be able to be completed in the future.
Yeah, so I guess here it is. 3 grown-ass adults who've waited way too long and spent way too much money on this Kickstarter. We're going to Yokosuka. We're doing the pilgrimage.
Yeah, it's a dream come true.
And I can just remember it's so bizarre. I can just remember all the little details, like getting the different trains, seeing Yokosuka written on the board, and just each of those little points in time, my heart just beating a little bit faster and getting a little bit of shortness of breath and stuff. It was the biggest day, which I didn't think beforehand when I get on the plane to go to Japan, but that was easily the biggest day of the trip for me personally.
Well, I remember, I mean, for myself, I was getting a little, I guess giddy would be the word, but as we got closer, I was like, oh, this is exciting. But I remember you were really taking it all in, and I remember it was hitting you like, I was like, man, like, I wish I could feel what Peter's feeling right now, but I guess that's because you've been a Shenmue fan probably a lot longer than I have, I think. So it meant just that much more to you. And then when we finally got there, it was just like,
It was, but whenever you arrive in Yokosuka and you get off the train, it's not like you get off the train and boom, there you are on Dobuita Street. You kind of do need to do a little bit of searching, a couple of blocks and a couple of side streets and things like that. And I can remember it. You were like a schoolboy, which I guess maybe I should have been, but I wasn't. I was actually that nervous, and I was actually I don't even remember. I was actually wound up. I was getting so agitated, and I didn't know how to express my emotions. It got to the stage where I was like, where the hell is this street? I can't be dealing with this searching anymore. I need to be there because I can't handle it anymore. And that's when we eventually started to find architecture that looked like Shenmue. And we kind of knew we were on the right track. And thanks to like modern technology, we all had our phones out as well.
Yeah, that's true. I remember like, for me, I was looking for the hill, that hill that like winds down from Yamanose into Dobuita, and I'm like, I know there's going to be that hill that starts, and it's going to have the wall, and there's going to be all these like old school Japanese architecture, and I found that, and as soon as we found it, I was like pointing, I'm like, guys, it's the hill, and then as soon as we saw that, it just snowballed, and we started seeing like certain stores, certain shops, certain alleyways.
The tattoo artist guy.
Even that.
That's insane. That was when I started to mellow out, and I knew we were close to Dobuita Street. And then I looked up. I remember basically what happened was that we were walking just down to Dobuita Street, and for some reason I think Alex seen this guy and started talking in Japanese to him, and he was basically a tattoo artist, like a character in the video game.
Mm-hmm.
And when I just started looking up at his tattoo parlor sign, and then just taking in that this is, this is what happens in Shenmue as well. You have to look for a tattoo parlor, and you speak to the tattoo artist. That's when I kind of really started to go, oh yeah, this is like what we've been looking for is right, literally around the corner.
Yeah.
The stretch.
The stretch would be, I think, up there, and
which connects to the main road.
We're going
down that way. Yeah,
we're there.
And then once we kind of stepped out into the middle of Dobuita Street, and as you say, it was just mind-blowing.
The thing that shocked me about Dobuita Street, though, was, I guess in my head, I had this picture in my head that it still was the way it was modeled in the game in 1986 was how I would be seeing it. Not so much of like look for look, but it was the amount of people, because it's kind of like this heritage tourist type of street. So it was very commercialized, and I was like, oh, okay, like there's people here, like are they all Shenmue fans, or is Dobuita Street just a place where people like to hang out? And I guess it kind of turned out it was the latter, because it has a bit of history in the area.
I absolutely agree. Yeah, for me it looked like Dobuita. Like, I mean, they really did capture it perfectly, even though this was 2016 for 1987. But still, to me it looked how I was expecting it to look. It looked amazing. But what you're saying is that's what really caught me off guard, was the atmosphere. I didn't expect that type of atmosphere. As you say, there was people there. You know, if you play Shenmue, the video game, you know the characters who walk past you because they obviously live in that world. But there was such a different mix of people. You had young school kids, you had actual sailors, you had people who were there as tourists, you had just people who also lived there as well. So there was a huge mix of people, and that's one thing I think it did catch me off guard, because we're trying to run about, and especially with yourself trying to scout these buildings that look like Shenmue buildings, you're there experiencing it with a purpose as well, where I'm there just like as a tourist going, wow, I'm on the Dobuita Street, but at the same time you have just people walking past me with their shopping bags, people looking in shop windows and living their daily lives. And that's when the mental tug of war came into it being a video game location which I've loved and wanted to visit for so long, but on the other side, this is just a place on this planet where people live and go about their daily life. And again, later on we went into a bar and stuff, again, just doing things like that where you do in a video game and you laugh at, but in real life, this is a bar, this is where people come to drink, this is where people work, and that's what caught me off guard a lot as well that day.
The bar was really cool, because it kind of had a vibe of just like one of the bars in the game, which I mean is understandably it's a normal American sports bar.
It was MJQ.
It definitely was MJQ, sure. But the reason that made it that was, and I forget who. Was it you who talked to the bartender? It was somebody. I think it might have been one of the twins.
No, it was Joe, because I was just sitting there looking at the dartboard that you get in Shenmue. The Neo Darts was to my left. We have a pool table like you have in MJQ Jazz Bar in front of us. We're just, at this stage, I was like yourself when we arrived in the boot. I was giddy. I was so into it now, and we found this bar, and it was like we were living our lives as if we were in Shenmue. And we had made the decision that we were going to stay in here, we were going to grab a bite to eat, and you had went into the bathroom, and that is a moment I will never forget. You went into the bathroom, and I'm just sitting there. Yeah, you can laugh. I'm going to tell this story.
Oh, it's a good one.
And Joe is over talking to the barman. Now, of course, I just think Joe's ordering a drink. He's ordering a bite to eat. I'm just going to sit here at the table, just taking this moment in. And what happens is that the music that you hear whenever you enter the MJQ Jazz Bar starts blasting. I mean, not just playing. I mean, what the guy's did is he's put it on YouTube and he's fed it through the sound system in the bar, and it is loud. And I jump up, Alex just turns around, lockjaw, just what the hell? That was the quintessential Debuita moment. And just when I couldn't get any better, I turn around and I see yourself just running out of the bathroom, pulling up your trousers, going, "What the is going on here?"
That
and I just,
definitely was a highlight.
Hysterics. I just couldn't believe that. And so, just five Shenmue fans who have traveled to Japan are sitting in this bar in Debuita Street with a pool table in front of us, and listening to the theme tune from the location of the game. That was the quintessential moment for me that day.
And that was, I think, I would also have to agree. The moment that stood out the most was the five of us. People from different countries at all various stages of our lives, different ages, different careers that we're doing. We're all just very different people, but we're all brought together over this one thing, that is Shenmue. And at that moment, we were all kind of brought down to this one same level where we were all just in that moment, and I think everybody was enjoying it as much as the next person.
Well, it's 15 individual people. We're saying 5. This is the most.
I've lost the question. So how many people did the pilgrimage? Oh, a group.
A group of people together,
including dinner with you, Suzuki.
But I have seen quite a
well,
thanks to Facebook 500k and other Shenmue sites, I have seen a fair share.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, but there's nobody that's going to top Yu Suzuki dinner, and then I mean everything.
Dinner with food. Guinness and Fukusawa with 5 Shenmue fans.
Night 1, out with Rain and Guinness. Night 2, out with Suzuki-san and Sake. Night 3, on Debuita Street.
With Shenmue music.
Shenmue music, pool table, dartboard.
Yes.
Talking to Sailor.
You gotta say the 5 of us probably had the most unique Shenmue.
We have lived vicariously to the absolute closest, I'd say, in one period of time.
I mean, what else can you do? Look at the bar. It looks exactly like the bar that you start.
The only other thing you can do is then go to China.
It's like as you get older in life, you don't have much of them moments, like in terms of like when you're a kid and at Christmas time everything seems magical. I know it does sound corny, yes, but the best about it, our table was so small and it was so circular, and the 5 of us were like shoulder to shoulder while we're trying to eat and drink. And yeah, there's no way, even if we tried to do that again, it still wouldn't be the same, because we would know what was coming. It was that moment where that music blasted that it all came together, and that's when it hit home. How did this even happen? How is this possible when you were a kid 15 years ago sitting in your bedroom playing this game on a Dreamcast? How did you wind up from that point to sitting in a bar in Debuita Street? How is that even possible? I consider us all very fortunate in that way. I know life can be a bit awful sometimes, but having something like that happen at the age we are and at the stages we are in our lives, as you say, that's an incredible gift that I will always be thankful for.
This would have been a nice moment to end on or wind down on, but I just wanted to bring up quickly again that on our way back from our day in Yokosuka, and I guess, Peter, you might have a better memory than I have. I was just kind of like a blur. But going up to the arcade, the first 2 floors really do look like that area when you are in Kowloon, just with the street shops and just the architecture and the claustrophobic feel, the graffiti on the wall. That was a nice little addition too, to kind of like make that Shenmue day that much more unique.
As soon as you get past the door and you enter the first floor, as you say, it's just designed to look like the thin, narrow corridors that you got in Kowloon, like what you see in Shenmue 2. And it's all very rustic, very grimy, very dirty, but again, you can feel the moisture in the air, the humidity. It really does do an excellent job of making it feel like you're in Kowloon. And then what happens then is when you get to the far end and you take an escalator up to the next floor, again, it's still all themed like Kowloon, but that's when you discover the arcade part. And that's when I knew I knew it was right to keep pushing you guys, because you guys seen Outrun, you seen Space Harrier, and it was next thing you know, we're all being separated and running around, and there was that little point again where we were like children again in an arcade. people were just you and Alex had your cameras out. You were taking pictures. George and Joe were looking at the arcades. They had great information plaques beside the arcade machines as well, of these machines that Yu Suzuki had created. So George and Joe were reading those, and I just was like, yeah, I'm so glad I got us to come here. The building itself was worth it, I think.
So yeah, if any of you guys ever find yourself in Japan and want to do the pilgrimage, you can get it all done in a day. It's super easy.
And it's free.
Yeah, it is. All it is just the train ticket, and then however much you want to spend on food, drinks, and games at the arcade. But yeah, go to Yokosuka, check out Dobuita Street, go around the corner, check out the harbor, and then on your way back, assuming you're staying in the greater Tokyo area, get off at Kawasaki, and what was it, a 12-minute walk, and there it was. So it was definitely the highlight of my trip. Well, I mean, there was a lot of things that were cool that I guess we could talk about on another day, but but that in particular was, as a Shenmue fan, and for you as well, probably one of the coolest things. And I'll repeat what you said before about the game that kind of brought us all together, a game that we played 15 years ago. I found myself saying that a lot on this trip. Like at one point, we were in Shibuya. Was it Shibuya? Having a drink with Eric Kelso at an Irish pub.
Shibuya, yes.
Just the group of us, and I remember.
I always get Shibuya and Shinjuku mixed up. So Shinjuku is essentially the party Yakuza setting,
and Shibuya is like the fashion kind of fashion bar district
with the crosswalk.
Yes,
isn't that Shibuya?
Yes, that was it. Yeah,
that's where it was. Oh man, that's how long this podcast be? That's the worst about art.
Yeah, we'll probably have to cut it down and edit in some of the things, but yeah, it was definitely nice reliving those memories and talking about it. But yeah, but I just wanted to stress again, if you ever find yourself in the area, you have to do the pilgrimage. It's free. Just the transit fare, and that's about it. But highly recommend.
Absolutely agree. Absolutely. If you've made all that effort, especially to go all the way to Japan from, say, the States or even even Europe, if you're a Shenmue fan, that should be on your list. That goes without saying. And if you're ever unsure about it, or if any Shenmue fans out there are even unsure about going to Japan in general, if you're worried about a language barrier or a culture shock, I cannot emphasize it enough. Get that out of your head. And if you have ever had any inclination to go to Japan and also go to the real life Shenmue occasions, please do it. You will not regret it.
Yep. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but before we say our goodbyes, you are the person who runs the Instagram page for
Yes,
the Shenmue Dojo, right? So a lot of the things we were talking about, if you guys do follow the Shenmue Dojo, you would have seen a lot of those pictures being uploaded. If you don't follow the Shenmue Dojo, I suggest you do, because you do post quite frequently, and there are good photos, especially the ones from Japan were really, really cool. So I guess, what is it, just Shenmue Dojo? That's it?
Yeah, I think it's just Shenmue_Dojo, or even if you just do an Instagram search. That's mostly where I'm based now these days. I really enjoy that, like finding new Shenmue artwork, and not only Shenmue artwork, but photographs of, say, for example, people who are experiencing visiting Dobuita and stuff like that. For words that I can't explain, I'm actually really enjoying that at the moment, taking a bit more of a back seat and things like that, because with Shenmue 3 and stuff, this whole entire Shenmue community from 500k and Twitter and the dojo is just red hot right now. There's that many people expressing that many opinions, so I'm kind of at a stage now where I just like updating that.
Definitely.
So.
All right, well, guys, if you made it this far, if anybody's actually watching this at all, thank you for watching this episode. We will be back at another time with another guest. And we'll be talking about more Shenmue-related things and just updating you as best we can on the status of the documentary. I know I say this a lot, but we actually do have some cool stuff coming soon, hopefully sooner than later, but the project is very much alive and well, and there's a lot of cool things happening.